need to buy yourself a gun. What? Gun? What? Like a handgun for personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you. What? What if your government tries to throw you in a camp? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? An automatic rifle and a lot of ammo. Good.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Check for the cops in riot gear. Gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta drag them through the streets.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. This is Primer Time. My name is Michael.
Hey, and I'm Dan. On the side, we got Hal. How's everybody doing this week?
Happy Snowpocalypse, everybody. Hope everybody stays warm tonight. No slipping on the ice. Everybody take care tonight. Hey, guys. Big thing tonight. Buzzsaw ammo. G2 RIP ammo.
Gotta hear about it, Michael. Please, I can't wait.
All right, G2 Industries has come out with the last bullet you'll ever need. It's a multi-directional CNC machined precision piece of copper. Guaranteed to shatter into 12 shards on impact, and it's impressive. And it's sold tonight on Gunbroker for $305 for a box of 20. That comes out to be, I think if you buy
$15 for a 9mm round, is that what you're saying?
$15 per round, and I believe if you buy 3 boxes, they throw in free shipping.
Well, that had to set a record, I would think.
It would be a record I'm not aiming for.
So I'll tell you what happened. This guy's, whoever acquired this ammo, since it's not out yet, they most likely got it at the SHOT Show, and they got it at a discount at the end of the SHOT Show. They were showing it there. They had their booth set up.
It has a manufacturer suggested retail price of $44 for a box of 20.
So he probably paid about $35 a box for it. That's a pretty good return on your investment.
You ain't kidding.
You saw the video, right?
I saw the video, yes.
How did you happen to see the video for it?
Yep, I did. And I saw the bullets. I didn't know how much the suggested retail price of it was, but that's insane.
It looks very impressive in that gelatin, going through that gelatin and stuff. My question is, Michael, what if it hits a leather jacket before that gelatin? Are those shards just going to fly into the leather jacket and stick? Or
I found interesting in the video they used one of the devices in the video. You know, I mean, it was very much eye candy. I mean, it slaughtered that Jello. So if that's the bullet to use if you're being attacked by lumps of clear Jello. But
that's what I'm saying.
I thought it was amazing because they came up and it was almost a dramatic moment. They showed the guy coming up, and he had his pistol right behind the blue balloon, and he shot that blue balloon, and that bullet just had, I mean, it was magnificent in the way it deformed, and it shot those splinters off. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's a balloon. You know,
yeah, a balloon. A balloon.
I believe we're going to be, our threat's greater than balloons and blocks of gelatin.
Now, this is only like a 60 grain bullet in this thing? Is that correct?
I believe it's a 95 grain bullet.
Oh, a 95 grain.
It's 95, and then it's cut into, I think it's 12 spires. And it
60 after the
line. Yeah, it's got to be
after the shave.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure once those splinters break off, you're getting hit with a flat puck that's probably moving a lot slower. You know, probably a 60 to 30 grain puck. You know, I'd guess. Are
these things like etched out with a laser or something? I didn't quite catch that.
I believe they're CNC. On the website it says that they're CNC machined, and it takes 32 seconds to manufacture each bullet.
Well, no wonder they're $15 a piece.
Act now. Supplies are limited.
Yeah.
That is incredible. It really is. That $15 a round for a 9mm. And we don't really know if it's effective or not. And I noticed also in that video, what they have is a machine gun fire. Most of the testing of the bullet was through machine guns.
I thought that was pretty impressive how they used both the Beretta 93R and the Glock 18. And I mean, I'm sure that was just to show that they don't have any feeding problems or anything. That does bring something to mind. What if you were to fire that in something to where it was to jam up on that feed ramp? Would you break off one of those little tines on it? I don't even know what to call them.
That's a very good point. If that thing breaks off, you know, and jams in another part of your gun, you are screwed there for a minute. That's very interesting. I hadn't thought about that part of it.
I believe it's billed as the last ammo that you'll ever need, and I think I hesitate to say it's the first ammo I don't need.
It's the last ammo you ever need because you'll be dead in a gunfight using that ammo, Michael.
Well, but it's
as per the video that you would have to handle it carefully.
Yeah,
because you're talking about bending it. If it'll hit a balloon, and a balloon makes those things go flying off.
It did.
It was definitely have to get it because when one was bent down a little bit, it would jam. I
just could not believe that it hit a balloon and it had such massive deformity within the space of hitting a balloon and the area. And I mean, it might have been a really good balloon.
Yeah. But
look at
that. Look at the projectile. When you watch that movie with this projectile, when that thing opens up, it looks to me like the flat part of that case is driven down. When it opens up, it'd almost be like just a wad cutter. So when those things fly off, you just got a piece of Lego in there, and they're pretty long. So, you know, we say in 60 grain. I'll bet it's less than that. I'll bet it is.
I'd say probably somewhere between 30 and 60. But the thing is it's a machined piece of copper, so you won't even get any kind of deformity.
No, you'd be better off shooting 9mm.
Yeah, you get no deformity.
You'd be better off shooting a wad cutter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
speaking of, Michael,
I got boxes for sale right now that I'll let go for $2.50.
For what this box of ammo went, Michael, $305. What can a person get them a real home defense shotgun and some ammo and stuff? What are we looking at
right now? If you had a budget of $305, in my mind, depending on where you were at and what your needs were, the two things I'd look for would be a Makarov 9mm pistol, the 9x18, a SVE 9mm, or a Mossberg 500. That would be what I'd recommend for somebody on a budget of $305.
So the Mossberg, you could buy it plus some ammo, correct?
I believe you can probably get into a Mossberg 500 for right around $275 walking out the door. So you'd have about $25. That'd get you a couple boxes of shells.
There you go. And then you can make your own ammo out of that ammo with crayons or hot glue. You can find that on YouTube, by the way.
YouTube's a wonderful resource. Lots of interesting information out there. But yeah, if your budget was $305, I would say that the Mossberg 500 is the way to go. I think running neck and neck is the Mossberg and your favorite, the 870. I think the 870 comes in just a couple bucks more than the Mossberg.
Probably just because of the name.
Well, yeah, and they got all different kinds of them too.
Yeah. Well, if we're going to look at entry level 18-inch barrel, 18.5-inch barrel, I think Mossberg's got the 500, then they've got the Maverick, which is pretty much like a 500. I think it's made by a subsidiary of Mossberg. But it's pretty much the same. It's backed by Mossberg's warranty. I think that comes in even about $250.
How many rounds of ammunition does that thing hold?
That holds 5. 5 in the magazine, and then you can put, keep one in the chamber.
Okay, can you buy an extension for it to add a couple more rounds to it or something?
I believe you can buy extensions for both of those, for both the 500 and the 88. I'm sorry?
It comes with you get different extensions for it too. You can get them that'll hold 3 or 4 more shells, or 4 more shells, or 5 more shells, and once they get so long, you need a clamp that goes on the end of the barrel to hold them together. They just screw on.
Yeah,
right
when you buy it like that, that comes also with another spring, then?
Yep, it's got to be longer.
Okay,
that's the way.
Yeah. So the extension comes with a spring normally when you order that.
Just because
exactly.
Extra long spring.
Okay.
They got all kinds of them on the market too. They got some of them that really, they've got some of them that really look good and work good. I mean, it's a very simple thing. It looks like a mag light you screw on the end of the barrel, a small one that you fill up with shells. It just extends it longer. It works really good.
Are you a fan of the 870 or the 500, or what's your favorite?
I like both of them, but I've got personally, I have an 870, and I've shot that thing a million times. It's just been a fantastic firearm. I can see.
I'll tell you what, I've
870s.
Pretty much, I've got the same experience with a 500, and I've shot plenty of 870s, and to be honest with you, other than the safety placement on them, they both function fine.
Oh, you ain't kidding. That's an old reliable. There's no question about that. You put buckshot in it, and that's a killing machine. Buckshots and
Absolutely.
slugs. A slug is so nasty. Oh my God. I mean, the guys, I watched a video one time. There's a guy that lived in Anwar. There's 2 trappers that live in Anwar. And this guy was there before Anwar was called Anwar. He'd been there so long, he was grandfathered in, and he still lives there. They fly his stuff to him. He lives out there by himself. I think that his wife is an Eskimo, but he's raised a couple of kids out there too. But what he carries when he goes outside is a 12 gauge with slugs in it.
Yeah.
That does.
Well, he faces pretty big, different threats. I think
grizzly bears is the main thing he worries about.
I think if we're looking at the $305 price level, we're looking at somebody who's living in an apartment somewhere, maybe in a metro area. So I think, the 500 with maybe number 4 turkey shot, that's pretty devastating inside. You don't pass the risk of sending a slug through, your wall and into your neighbor's. Yeah, 5 exactly, 5 apartments down. Maybe number 4 turkey shot. The Makarov in 9x18 is a pretty good, I think that's fairly nice choice. It's simple to use. The ammunition's usually cheap when you find it. It's usually plentiful when you find it. And they're well constructed. They're very simple to use, simple to clean. And
yeah, they're great guns, Michael, and they're inexpensive guns also. That's still one you can get for $300.
I think you can find them sometimes in the neighborhood of $250 to $275.
and they've got they're a double action, single action type gun with a slide on the top of them, and they, that first double action pull on that trigger is like 35 pounds, I think, or something like that. But boy, that single action trigger sure is sweet at around 2.5 to 3 pounds. It's
a really nice weapon. It's really easy to take apart. I think it's patterned after a Walther design. And, it's got a decent size, bullet. The bullet in it is actually just a little bit bigger around than the 9x19 9mm bullet. A lot of people think it's interchangeable with the 380. It's really not. The 380 will fit, but you'll bulge cartridges in a 9x18.
That's correct. I love 380s. That's my favorite, pocket pistol.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a ton of 380 ammunition around here right now.
And the prices have come back down to normal?
I'd say the prices are within about 10 to 15% of what they were when before all the unpleasantness. What
about the 22 long rifle? It's still, I looked on Gunbroker, and it's still going for over 10 cents a round. Looks like.
I'm seeing that's not available in stores. When you do find it, you're limited to 2 boxes, and it's hit or miss. You know, you may get stingers, you may just get 2 boxes of Winchester, Wildcat, or
50 round boxes or 100 round boxes.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is. You get 2 boxes of it.
2 boxes. Yeah. I don't see much of it around here either.
I did see on one of the local boards that I look at for stuff for sale. There was a guy who had some Tula Brass Max, which is a lead round nose. I believe it's a 40 grain that moves somewhere at 1250 or something like that. And it comes bulk packed in a plastic, almost like a can, the can that nuts would come in, plastic. And he was selling them for $55 for a box of 250, or the can of 250.
250 for $55.
Yeah, that's
20 cents a piece.
The robbery's still there, and to be honest with you, when I shoot 22, I prefer a plated bullet. I really do prefer a plated bullet. Really, as low as I like to go is the Remington Golden bullet. I've got revolvers that I'll shoot anything in, but as far as like semi-automatic 22s, I don't like to step below the Golden bullet. A lot of people don't even like the Golden bullet, but a lot of people don't like CCI Blazers. A lot of people don't like Winchester Wildcats. Ammo's picky right there. I think a lot of people got to have their own, prejudices against different ammos.
Yeah, Hal, you're the reloader among us here. What's your favorite kind of metal they're used to reload and make your bullets out of or whatever? And tell us a little bit about that, please.
I usually, like I said before, told you before, I usually use Hornadies or Nosler.
Are they brass bullets or copper?
Brass, lead, brass-plated lead, and they're ballistic tips normally. Remington, sometimes I'll go with, Remington makes a real good bullet called a Corlock that's a very good bullet. It's just a soft point, regular rifle bullet. And, there's a bunch of good bullets on the market out there. Sierra makes good bullets. LaPois makes good bullets. A lot of brass, a lot of different brass. And as far as the primers go, let me tell you something about primers. I did a little bit of experimenting around with those. The difference between a pistol primer and a rifle primer is usually just the metal the primer itself is made out of. A little bit the pistol primer is made out of a little bit thicker or thinner metal than what the rifle primer is. But a rifle, when you fire a high-powered rifle, the chamber pressure in that thing is like 550. It's 55,000 pounds of pressure in a regular 308 load. That's quite a bit. 55,000 pounds, or 55,000 pounds, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And a pistol is less, but I'll tell you what I have. I have put pistol primers. I did about 100 rounds one time. I accidentally put pistol primers in them. And I called my buddy up, Jerry. I said, "What do you think I ought to do?" He said, "Shoot them and see what they do." And they shot fine, no problem at all. I've used bench rest primers. They've got bench rest primers. I've used CCI primers. I've used Wolf primers. I've used all kinds of primers, and I really don't see a hell of a big difference in any of them.
So you're able to buy Wolf components?
For a while I could. I haven't bought any in a while, but yeah, for a while I could buy Wolf primers. You'd go to the gun shows sometimes, they'd have Wolf primers in there.
What would the cost of Wolf components be compared to everything else?
About half.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Maybe people aren't aware. Wolf is some, I believe it's made in the Ukraine. There's several.
Are they making
factories.
anything in the Ukraine right now, Michael?
They might not be making anything for a while. They're in the middle of the shutdown.
Yeah.
You know, Hornady sold some AK-47 rounds that looked to me like it was just a regular Berdan prime steel jacketed or steel.
I have a box of those, and it's just got the ballistic tip on it, right?
Hornady ballistic tip on it. That's exactly what it has.
I've got a box of those. I think they were critical defense, and then they also made those in the Zombie Max. And I kind of felt
you can hunt with them too.
Yeah, they had them, and I believe I bought them, and they were $26 for a box of 20 or something. And I looked at it, and I did feel kind of, hey, this is wrong. This is steel case stuff, you know?
Yeah. Still shoots good though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've never had a round of 7.62 by 39 that does not go off.
They can go bang. What more can you ask for?
No,
I think the bench rest primers are more consistent. When they make them, they cost a little bit more too. But you know, if you take a primer, I don't know if you've ever watched a video of just the primers going off. They'll have a shot of just what the primer looks like when it goes off.
Yeah, it's got four little flash holes in it.
The bench rest primers are more consistent than the other primers are. The flash.
I'm curious about the cost. How?
More. They get some of those get pretty pricey.
So
But if you want to shoot, you know, these guys that shoot off the bench, they what they go through to get the accuracy with the shots is unbelievable. I mean, everything's got to be just right. Where the way the bullet goes into the gun, how far the bullet sticks out. You want the bullet to stick out for maximum accuracy. You want, when you put that bullet in, it literally goes in, and the tapered part of the bullet will actually go up and touch the rifling. That's where it stops. So it might be a little longer than normal. But yeah, that's a demanding thing. But they got some guys that's got some tack drivers, man.
Yeah,
and they want it to touch the rifle because they want it to engage immediately, right? They don't want that little bit of a
no left or right or no variation at all. When it pulls the trigger, it's going down the barrel.
Right. That's something that happens in revolvers. There's a gap between the cylinder and the barrel, and the bullet has to make a jump.
And you lose pressure there too. And with a 9mm semi-automatic, you don't have that. When you fire it, everything goes. You do have a jump there, but you know, you take a 6-inch barrel 357 Magnum pistol, and you might have a jump there, but I guarantee you that bullet will fly out there a long ways.
Oh yeah, 357 Magnum, 158 grains, moves at about 1,450 feet per second. That's a lot faster than 911 shows up.
That's a hunting load, man. That thing there, you can kill deer with that.
Kill bears with it.
You can kill anything with it, man. That's a real good round.
I do have an interesting observation on some of the, I guess, higher priced 357 ammunition. Hornady, they made for a while. I'm not sure if it's still in production just because of the rush on production. But they made a round called the Lever Revolution, and it was a ballistic tipped round that was designed for things that are traditionally not ballistic tipped, like a revolver bullet or a 30-30 or something that would sit in a tubular magazine. And
that's so. See, a pointed bullet with a lot of recoil could set a bullet off inside the magazine.
Right. So
they put a flat nose on it.
On most of those kind of bullets, yeah, they're flat nose. 30-30 is a real blunt nose. I mean, that's why it's good for bust and brush, but it doesn't really have, I guess, the range that you find with something that's got a ballistic tip. Well, I noticed that they don't work well. The ones that they have, they make a 357, a 45 long Colt, and a 44 Magnum in that lever revolution. They don't open up at all from a 6-inch or anything smaller.
Well, I know the ballistic tips work fantastic.
But I'm thinking that those lever revolutions need to come out of a rifle length barrel to achieve the opening. But yeah, 6 of them from a 4-inch 686 did not open up anything. 6 of them out of a 6-inch 686 didn't open anything, and 5 of them out of a 2-inch SB 101 didn't open up anything. So
see, that's the difference.
None of them opened
That's the difference in the powder.
Yeah,
you've got fast powder and slow powder. If you're shooting out of a pistol, you shoot a fast powder, and if you're shooting out of a rifle, you shoot a slow powder. And because the fast powder, it just boom and it's gone. Now slow powder,
they rate those powders. They rate those powders by an F rating, right?
I think so, but I've got a chart in there. It's only I don't know where in the hell I found it at, but it was a chart that had all the different powder. Usually, you see this one's got this kind of powder. You know, you like Hogden or whatever. This one's got it's a big list, and it's got all of the powders and where they stand on the burn chart. You know how fast they burn. So you can go look at like a 748 Winchester powder. You can go see what is close to it in the other powders. It's pretty neat.
That's cool.
But yeah, you got to have.
It's nice to have a lot of reference out there.
Yeah,
it's nice to have a lot of reference out there.
The internet's great for that.
Oh, absolutely. That kind of brings up something interesting. What do you look for when, say, you hit a gun show, and you're in the 305 budget range, and you come across something that's maybe not the brand new shotgun from the big box store. You've got $305, and you come across a Ruger GP100 357 that's sitting there for $300, and that kind of strikes your fancy. What are you going to look at on that gun?
It would have to be the condition of it, but I would Rugers. I like the Ruger pistols. I had a Ruger Super Single 6 that shot real good, but those old cowboy-looking Ruger pistols, they shoot fantastic.
Those are. That's something you might find in the $300 range. They're usually going to be a little bit more, probably about $350 to $400 for the big Blackhawk single actions. I like those too.
Any revolver I'm going to be looking at the head spacing, Michael. I want to see the head spacing on that whip between the wheel and the actual barrel itself and make sure that's nice and tight. Just slither through there.
Yeah, how much wear is in it? That's what I'm saying, the condition of the gun. I mean, some of those,
what kind of wear things are we going to be looking at? Say when you draw the hammer back and the cylinder moves. Once you've got the hammer back, what are you looking for? How much wiggle are you looking for in the cylinder? Once the hammer's down, how much
not
wiggle
much at all, because if it moves very much at all, you're going to have a lead spitter. You know, that's what I'm saying. Once that thing is wore like that, I would put it down and go look for another one.
So we're looking for sloppiness.
When you pull that thing back, and you can take that thing and move it a lot. And when I say a lot, if it's got very much movement in it at all, I've got one in there that I've had and shot a whole bunch of rounds through it, but I've kept it clean and it's not got a lot of wear in it. And the other thing people do with a wheel gun is if you're hand loading it, you can load. I can take my 38 special, and there's so much room in a 38 caliber cartridge. When you put the powder in there to load a 38, for just plinking, 2 grains is plenty, and for a pretty good load, 4 or 5 grains, you got something pretty hot. Well, you got enough room in there to put 50 or 40. I mean, it's got a lot of room. You could load a 357 magnum load for a .38, and you could shoot it for a while, and it either blow up or it wouldn't be good for the gun though. The cylinder's not made for it, so the bullets will start fitting sloppy and it'll wear the gun out. So it depends on who's had a gun. Somebody that's had a gun that knows what they're doing with it and keeps it clean and shoots the right kind of ammo in it, it'll last for a long time. But it's just like anything else. If you take, you buy a car from somebody that they've abused it, you got an abused car. When you buy a gun from somebody and they've abused it, you've got an abused gun. You have to really, if you don't know anything about guns, if you go to a gun show to buy a gun, you ought to take somebody that knows something about guns with you, or you could get bit pretty hard.
That's excellent advice right there. If
Sure
you don't
is.
know anything about it, take somebody with you. There's never any dumb question to ask. The person you take with you should be willing to answer any kind of question you've got.
Yeah.
But please go get a gun and protect yourself if you're capable.
Do not buy a gun with a bulged barrel.
That's good advice there now, man.
But the Makarov, getting back to the Makarov, I love my little Makarov pistol. It's a Russian-made one, and just when you take it apart, it's incredible because there's the barrel welded to the frame.
I think that's a wonderful design. I think the fixed barrel design makes for a lot of possibilities and a lot of smaller cartridges. I think you could even adapt that design to a full blowback 9mm. And a full straight blowback 9mm that would it'd probably be fairly large, but it would be nice and simple. I think that could encourage a lot of shooting. I've got this thing for an American Makarov. I know that it almost sounds sacrilegious, and the guys with the 45s are out there, but there's always room for more.
45s are near and dear to my heart. That's my gun of choice, actually, for pistols. I've shot one for years and years.
They shoot good, man. There ain't no doubt about that. And that's a tried and proven weapon forever.
Yes, it is.
Just take care of them.
Yep.
I prefer the Colts. All of them have increased in value, so I can't complain there. If I want to sell them, I've made money on them, my investments. So. That's the beauty of guns, beauty of firearms.
Yeah,
well, they are a
go down in
precious
price.
metal. They are a precious metal. Take care of them, and they hold every bit of the dollar you put into them in the beginning.
I've got some old books back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. That's the prices of guns, and some of the old magazines that go back, some of the reloading magazines and hand loading magazines.
Blows your mind.
Guns. Oh man, does it ever?
Go over some of those prices you noticed in those guns, in those old magazines. I tell people to look at a 20-year-old gun magazine and look at the price change.
Oh yeah, the price they go straight up. The Diamondback that I bought that thing back in I got out of the Navy in '72, so I probably bought it in '73, and I think I paid less than $200 for it. I think I paid like $170 for it. And it's definitely worth that today.
Well, I'm a little bit younger than you, but I'm going to tell you this, that in my heyday, the $39 SKS, the $49 SKS that came with pretty much everything in 740 rounds of ammo.
Bayonet, oil, the whole 9 yards, yeah.
It came with the Chinese chest pouch, probably 20 stripper clips.
Michael, when I was a kid, you'd go into JM Fields, WT Grants. There was a whole bunch of different just department stores. And you go back to the sporting good department, they would have wooden barrels back there. And the wooden barrels would be full of SKS, the British 303, the Chinese rifle, the Mausers, just barrels and barrels and barrels full of them. And they'd be going for, your pick. And they'd be going for, $20 to $40 a piece.
I remember the big blowout of the Chinese ones there for a while. They were $39 if it was a kind of a you'd see it was used, and it was packed in Cosmoline, completely packed in Cosmoline. You got a bag full of grease, and you had to clean that all off. That was $39. One that was a little bit nicer was $49. It had been cleaned, and it came with all the stuff. You could get an AK-47, a Polytech AK for $129. Actually, it wasn't a Polytech; it was a Norinco, but it was $129.
What a deal! And that same gun sells today for what? $700, $800?
I saw some Norincos on my local board, and they were going anywhere from $800 to $1,200.
Wow!
I did see a Mac 90 that somebody had bought. For people not aware, a Mac 90 is not anything to do with a Makarov. This is an AK-47 derivative, and it was meant to beat the gun ban, and it had some features taken off. It didn't have a bayonet lug, it didn't have a flash hider, and it had a thumb hole stock. That was the biggest, most notable feature. I think those were $200 at the rush, and this thing he sold it for $11. He had it up there for $11, and it said sold fairly quick. So
stamped or milled receiver, and tell us the difference between the two.
Oh, okay. A stamped receiver is a piece of metal that's just been hit with a big press and bent into shape, and a milled receiver is a block of metal that's been milled out. A machine comes in and bores it into the appropriate area. A milled receiver is going to be a lot thicker. Usually in an AK-47, a milled receiver comes out to be, I want to say 1.7 millimeters, maybe 1.8 millimeters, and usually a stamped receiver is 1.6 millimeters. And you can get some of the cheaper, lower cost imported AK-47 clones, like the Romanian ones are the WASR series. Those are usually 1.1 millimeter thick. They're pretty thin.
So
they have a tendency to have like wobbly magazines.
Price wise, if you had two Mac 90s sitting there and one was a stamped receiver and one was a milled receiver, what would the price difference be between those guns?
For somebody who knows what they're going for, you'll see the milled one go for $1,100 to $1,300. The stamped one will go for about $8 to $1,000 if you get lucky. Probably $8 to about $950.
Wow. So there's that much difference. The milled makes that much difference.
I would say so. To the person who knows what they've got, yeah, the milled is nice. The milled is a lot heavier. It's and anything like that, the weight is not necessarily a problem with the rifle, because overall it doesn't add that much weight to the rifle, but it does recoil and it does make the rifle that much sturdier. I mean, they're a tool in many ways. It's a amazing rifle.
Those guns with the Circle 386 on them, stamped on them, those came from the Polytech factory. Wasn't that the Polytech factory?
I believe that is, but all the Polytech factories and pretty much everything in China is Norinco. So they just had factories in different places. But Polytech, I believe Polytech was the same manufacturer that supplied the Chinese army before they switched over to the QZB stuff.
Polytech is top-notch AK stuff, by the way. It is top limb, right there with the Russian stuff, just about. It's very close.
I have no problems with any Chinese weapons I've ever fired. Chinese ammo, the same. You remember back in the day, a box of 20 rounds of Norinco 7.62 by 39. What was that? $1.39.
Yellow box stuff. Yeah, the yellow box stuff. About $1.50 a box. Crazy.
You get a box of 50 rounds of the 115 grain full metal jacket. Came in a green box. Just said Norinco 9mm on it, and that was $4.99, $3.99 sometimes on sale.
And how much is it today? The same price?
I believe if you're looking for something that's a cheap disposable 9mm, right now, which would be something like Tula or Wolf or Red Army Standard, you're looking at probably about $9 to $11 a box for 9mm. That's just the cheapest, absolute cheapest stuff out there.
And that's that dirty stuff that I hate shooting that dirty stuff. You have to clean your gun so thoroughly after shooting that stuff.
Yeah, that stuff I believe it's got to be a problem with the powders. Or not necessarily a problem, just a difference in the powders, because that stuff works great. It just works great.
The bullseye powder that you buy you can get it. It's an old reliable. It's been on the market forever, but it's a dirty powder. You shoot it, and your gun's going to be dirty. But it works real good.
So these bullseye shooters use this powder, is that correct?
Bullseye's one of the oldest names, man. It's been around forever.
Oh, it's a brand. Oh, okay. It's not the bullseye
It's
shooter.
a brand. No, it's a brand.
Oh, okay.
It's bullseye pistol powder.
Now, you said you've seen Wolf brand primers. Wolf being the Russian or Yugoslavian or wherever they're from manufacturer. Have you seen Wolf brand powders or any sort of?
Nope, just the primers.
Okay,
just the primers. Yeah.
I wonder if there's import regulations on the powders.
You know, I'm wondering what they're doing with that too, with any of that. It's hard to call. I did see a video the other day that I don't know what his first name is. The guy the CEO of Hornady, he got on there and said they're making ammunition just as fast as they can, and he said there's no government conspiracy and nobody's stopping them from. The government's not buying up all the ammo. He says when the ammo hits the deck that it's sold. He said people are buying up the ammo that fast. So, taking him at his word. When I heard him talk, he sounded like he was telling the truth, and he really had no reason to lie, to be honest with you, because, that's a big company. But, if people are actually, he said they're going 7 days a week, 24/7, they put on extra crews, and they're running, ammo that people are buying instead of making tooling up and making a bunch of ammo that's not a popular ammo. He said what they're trying to do is fill the niche for the popular ammo, and he said it's sold as soon as it hits the thing. If what he's saying there is true, does it sound like the American public are arming themselves or what?
I believe they are voting with their wallet.
Yes, sir. That's exactly the
but
way
I'm kind of inclined to think that this guy's not BSing anybody because
so am
considering I see it every time I look at my my little trading board. This guy's got probably 12 boxes of that Tula 22, and he's putting them up for $55. I'm sure I've never seen that stuff in the store, but I'm sure if it's there, it can't be any more than $50.
Ammo is back, Michael. It's back at the new inflated price is what it amounts to. So, it's just going to go up from here. It's not going to get any cheaper.
When I go into Walmart here, I guarantee ammo is not back.
Yeah, the Walmart near me.
It's not back at Walmart.
Hell no. They're sold out for it. And when they get it in, there's guys standing there still waiting to buy it. First thing in the morning.
You were talking about that core locked ammo. I have some 30-30 core lock. I love to shoot that stuff in my 30-30.
I'll tell you what, that's great hunting ammo. That thing
it is.
That thing it'll knock a hole in something.
It'll knock a lung out, we'll put it that way.
It sure will. Ain't no doubt about it.
Love it.
Well, one thing.
So Dan, you got that story sitting around about that
a good guy story. Yeah, we gotta talk about a good guy of the week. Yeah, as a matter of fact, give me just 1 second here. Yeah, this happened yesterday in the town of Knoxville, Tennessee, where one of our new hosts, Kevin Blanche from Post Ignorance, he's there right now for the Negan Rice trial. And what happened was out in West Knoxville, a convenience store clerk got robbed. This guy came in wearing a white face mask and carrying a pistol and demanding money out of the register. Instead of reaching in the register, this convenience store clerk reached in and pulled a gun on the armed robber and sent him fleeing. And he was last seen running south from the store wearing a white face mask. Is how the story ends. That is so funny, and it happens
White
so
face
much.
mask
Armed resistance, and they flee like cockroaches. Another case.
Well, they don't want to get shot.
They flee like cockroaches when they meet armed resistance. That's why, it's going to get down to the point where every responsible person needs to be carrying a firearm. This will be a much safer country if that was the case, in my opinion.
Well, it looks like Oklahoma's stepping up to do that. They've got a bill in their state legislature that's providing for the open or concealed carry for every citizen able to do so.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's the
way it ought to be across the country.
I'm telling you, an armed society is a polite society. You just have to go to a gun show to see it yourself.
I'd like to see Michael Bloomberg laying on the fetal position, just sucking his thumb freak completely out.
Well, his push is back on.
His push is back on hard.
I noticed 3 or 4 news stories in the past week that were actually in the past couple days that were pretty hard for gun control. It looked they've got mayors against illegal guns, which is just a horrible name for an incendiary name for a group, and by the way, inaccurate. I mean, it's like saying people against crime or mothers for healthy babies or something like that. It's
global warming.
It's just buzzwords, but they're pushing it again, and I saw it was
trying to teach all the kids in school that guns are bad too.
Well, I'll tell you what, just pointing to that, I just saw something on Pigmind News on YouTube. There was it was Diane Sawyer, so I believe that's ABC News. They had gone into a school and had given these kids a class of second graders, I guess, the Eddie the Eagle class from the NRA, which the rules that Eddie the Eagle stresses for children are stop, don't touch, leave the area, and tell an adult. That's what they teach for the kids. So they gave these kids a whole bunch of that, and then they went and placed 3 unloaded guns in the classroom, and right near a bucket full of toys and one of the children's backpacks and a plate full of cookies and candies. They left these guns and were trying to show the children's reactions, and it was just so inflammatory. And to be honest with you, the training worked for the kids. They children being children, they were intrigued and they looked at them.
Yeah, they didn't touch them though, did they?
Well, they did touch them, but they had some kind of debate between them, and it wasn't just one kid. They made sure it was a couple of kids, at a time. So there was that conflict. But
interesting, and they actually touched the guns.
Yeah,
kids be kids, I guess.
Will they get kicked out of school?
Well, no. I just think how horrible is this that they're practicing, that they're doing this with the children like this, and everything's always for the sake of the children, but they're putting these kids in. It's going to the kids are going to remember this instance. It's going to put a bad taste for firearms in the kids' mouths.
You're exactly right, Michael.
Listen, they're wanting to teach the children to rat on their parents if their parents are doing something wrong, and they come to school and tell us about it. I mean, they're trying to turn the entire country into a country of rats. And the other thing is,
the propaganda was just so thick with this, and the way that something I noticed was the way they tried to undercut the Eddie the Eagle program, which is something that the NRA gives away for free to every school. Every parent could have it if they wanted it. You don't even have to join the NRA; they'll give you the information. I think that's pretty nice. I mean, I don't agree with everything that the NRA says. I don't agree with everything that the NRA stands for. I believe that the NRA sometimes stands for the profit end of it more than it does for the common man. But that's a discussion for another time. They do, however, pass out that Eddie the Eagle information great. And what I thought was just horrible was how the news was trying to show that it was ineffective. That, you know, the only way is to...
Oh, yeah, I was going to try to show it in a bad light.
It was just disgusting. To anybody that had an open mind, it's disgusting.
Did you see where there's a town? I think it's in California. I'm not positive. I was reading it earlier. Where these people that have cameras at their homes, they're trying to get it to where the cops can turn those cameras on anytime they want to and look at anything that's in these people's yards and stuff. So, you know, in other words, to help fight crime. And I'm thinking this is individual, this is people, and they got nothing to do with the sheriff's department. This is something they would sign up
How
for.
much do you think those cameras would cost?
Well, this is people that's obviously got some money, but my point is, if they have it like that, how long would it be before they'd, you know, well, if we can see on the outside and take care of things for you, wouldn't you like us to be able to see inside your house? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
that's coming too.
Where does this end?
No telling.
It ends when somebody says no.
And until then, they're going to keep pushing the envelope, just like they did with that little bit you're talking about, the kids with the guns in school. Our kids are being brainwashed big time, and so are these idiots that still watch the mainstream news. About brainwashing. That is what's criminal that's going on in this country. It's not us. It's not the gun owners, and it isn't the people that get up and go to work every day. It's the damn government.
Just an interesting paradox. We had the $305 challenge sort of a little while ago. And for that same $305, parents would buy their child an Xbox in a game, or a PlayStation in a game, you know, a used one or something. And that will go without saying. And in that game, there's going to be robbery, rape, and pillage.
Oh, man.
Right? In that game, and that's
And
fun.
shoot 'em up.
Cop
especially.
killing, car
But
stealing, drugs.
Exactly, doing all that stuff. But at the same time, they would never consider taking that $305, the same amount that they paid for whatever the game system in the game is, buying a .22 rifle and taking out a box of shells and taking their kid out to the range or to the field or to the dump or something.
But Michael, that gun would turn my son into just a rabid killer, sitting there for hours a day watching cars get stolen and people getting mutilated and people getting shot to death and hacked to death with machetes and stuff. See, that doesn't affect him at all. But that gun, my God, what are you saying I should do to my little boy?
No, it does. It desensitizes him to those guns.
That's insane, isn't it?
In shock. You know, if you were to say that a man was stabbed, you know, that's a horrible thing. You know, that's a shame. A man was hung. That's a horrible thing. A man was killed in a car accident. That's a horrible thing. But if a man was shot, my God, we have to ban those guns.
Yes, no question about it, because they're bad.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what,
the tool, not the person.
People that can't see this train coming down the tracks, they are not looking very hard. Either that, or they're dumb beyond anything that you can imagine. And I think
we're all firmly of the belief here that under no circumstances should you give up anything.
Not a chance.
Do not give up anything that you own.
Stand your ground.
It's yours. Don't give it up. It's yours.
It was legal when I got it, and it still is.
If you give it up, you're never getting it back.
No. And just like what I point out all the time when I'm talking, I say, show me any country, anywhere, that when tyrants took over the country, show me any place that the tyrants just said, you know what, we've been bad. We're so sorry. We're not going to do this anymore. We're going to play fair. We're going to be good boys. I'm sorry, that ain't the way it works.
Hasn't yet.
No place and it never will. I mean, that's just not part of it. And these people that want to continue to believe that, I don't know how they can do it. They're better at brainwashing themselves than I am. I'm I'm kind of a freaky guy, you know. That reality thing, I believe it.
I believe we've said it here quite a few times. a gun is really your last way to say, no, I don't comply.
Sure is.
And they're trying to take that away from you. And,
Hard as they can.
You know, unfortunately, we've got a president who's probably the best gun salesman of the last 20 years. I mean,
that's one good thing he's done.
He's given Clinton a run for his money in the gun sales department. We've got people in Congress who don't necessarily serve the American people. It seems a lot of them have an affiliation with agencies that aren't right. Some seem to have dual citizenship. That seems to be a problem. Those goals don't end up working with ours. And
but there are representatives, Mike. They're for us. You know, that's why they're there.
Selected by
that anybody could still believe that their elected representatives are working for them. Obviously,
selected by Diebold. Selected by Diebold.
You know,
right.
you'd think it when they were, you'd think they would mess up in our favor every now and then when they vote on these laws. They always seem to be against us one way or another.
Now they cheat on the test and they get pure 100s.
Our salesman of the century, he had a speech tonight, didn't he? State of the Union bullcrap speech.
I believe so. I couldn't stand to watch it, so I read it.
I couldn't do it either.
Everything's peachy cream in the U.S., correct?
That's right. And what isn't peachy keen can be fixed with a teleprompter in the auto pen.
Well, I'm going to celebrate and go out and buy me some Skittles.
I'm. If you see a box of 22 on the way out there, pick that up as well.
I'll honor him by playing a round of golf maybe when it warms up. How's that? He likes to do that apparently.
Well, you've got a little bit of ways to go. You've had snow for what, 15, 16 hours now?
Oh, that's amazing. We finally had a winter for a change. People have been spoiled, you know, on this weather, but I think we're finally having a real typical winter right now. 15 or 16 hours continuously it snowed here. The roads are pretty bad. Don't care to get out in them.
Sounds bad to me.
I hate it. Yeah, you're down south in Tampa. What's the temperature there now, Hal? It's pretty warm.
Right now it's about 60, but tomorrow we're going to have a high of 50, and then tomorrow night it's going to get down into 30s.
Okay, so that cold's going to reach you too. It's supposed to be like 5 for the low here. I
talked to Mr. Bonton earlier today, and he said that it was colder than heck there. He said it was freezing there then, and he said tonight it's supposed to get down to 20, and he's in Louisiana.
I had ice on my windshield today. That's a sort of an unusual thing for me. And it wasn't just frost, it was actual ice.
In southern Texas.
Wow. Yeah.
I've had one morning.
Yeah, we had some good wind. We got up to about 26 miles per hour out of the north. And, any wind that comes from the north is always cold for us. And, I'm glad I'm not out digging in mud today.
I just wish it was warm enough so I could get out and shoot some. I love to step out on the back porch and shoot. And here lately you step out and the wind's just whipping by and it's freezing. So, crack off 10 rounds real quick and run back in, I guess, but I prefer not to. I'll wait till it warms up a little bit.
That sounds like the best plan right there. Stay out of that sickness that you beat. I'm happy you beat that.
Yeah, I tell you, I think that's one thing I'd like to get into next week, Michael, is taking someone shooting for the first time. You know, get them a real pleasure out of it. We're running out of time here.
The do's and don'ts of that. That'd be really nice to go over.
I'd like to go over my thanks to Jules and UCY.TV and Rubber Chicks After Dark is coming up here shortly. Michael, last words coming up here?
I'd like to thank Howell for joining us. Dan, thank you for being here. Thanks to UCY.TV and Prepper Chicks Live After Dark is next. Everybody stick around. Thanks for listening.